In this Glass Tracks video, I'll be covering a few things regarding AR accounting, as well as I want to show you a few new things that we've added recently. We've recently added the ability to create invoices in another location in the software. If you've noticed on some of my other videos, we actually normally create the invoices here in the sales processing invoicing procedures in either the create invoices screen, which allows you to create an invoice one at a time, or this batch invoicing, which allows you to select multiple orders that need to be invoiced at once. However, we also added the ability to create invoices over here in the reports and inquiries section by going to sales order quote reports and coming down here to schedule deliveries 3. The thinking behind this is that most of our customers invoice upon shipping. So what this screen allows you to do is it allows you to select which orders you plan on sending out, and then you get to select which one you're doing and go ahead and check this create invoice box up here at the top, as well as that print invoices. So now as you print off your delivery schedule report, you can also print off the packing list, you can create an invoice and print out those invoices as well. So it's kind of a way to combine functionality for your guys out on the floor. It makes things a little bit more fluid for them as well. Now this does not post the invoices after creating them. So the way that we've had this set up now is you create the unposted invoice, and then your accountant or whoever's in charge of posting the invoices, once they know everything looks correct, they can go ahead and post them in our post invoices screen. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to deselect these real quick and just do this one right here. This is one that I just filled out for ABC Glass. I could technically go ahead here, hit this print button, and what it's going to do is print out my scheduled delivery report and create an invoice for this order right away. Now to review again, I could also come over here to sales, processing, invoicing procedures, go to batch invoicing. Here's a screen that we've changed recently as well, so that now a grid appears down below. You can actually come here and say inset. I want to go ahead and do sales order inset, and I can just start listing sales orders separated by a comma if you know those sales order numbers. Otherwise, they're going to be listed here by packing list and going down here to the newest down at the bottom. All right. The thing that we do have to do is post the invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and actually batch this invoice here real quick that I've for this order here. Let me pull it in here and I'll say exact match. That order is 15016, and I'll hit tab or enter there, and it pulls in just that order. I can select it. My X should appear right here, and I'll go ahead and say invoice the selected. And it pops up here with the packing list number, the sales order number, the customer, and the amount on the invoice. I say OK. It asks me for my invoice date. Now, you can change this depending on when you would like that to be. This is important for the back end. If your customer has terms, if they're net 30, then obviously the 30 days will be calculated off of the invoice date here, as well as if you have any discounts, like 2%, 10, net 30, it'll be calculated based off of the invoice date here as well. All right, it says it was created successfully, 27268. So then the next step is to print it out, obviously right there. But then you can come here and hit post invoices. This is a screen that we've changed here recently as well. What it has changed to now is it shows actually a grid of all of your unposted invoices. If I were to hit this refresh, it would show all of my invoices right here that need to be posted. Again, then we have this inset option where I can go ahead and just type my invoice numbers separated by a comma if I know those, and hit post, and it'll go ahead and post all those ones that I've specified. Since I know this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and say it was 27268. Hit this refresh. There it is right there. It's auto selected because it's green. I go ahead and hit this post button, and it go ahead and says it's posted successfully. So now that has hit my customer account. I can print off my GL report here if I'd like as well. Most accountants do like to have that to make sure everything hit balanced. There's no reason it shouldn't have balanced out, but it's always nice to have that report. I'm going to go ahead and say no for the video purpose here. Now if I were to look at this customer's account, I could show you here. Go to AR, go to customers, pull in ABC Glass, come down here to the bottom to customer activity. That invoice should be posted to their account right here at the top. And sure enough, there it is. That 6560 27268 is the number on that invoice. Now to go on to the next step, let's say this customer sends in their check to pay that $65.60. So what you would do is you'd come in here to enter AR transactions, again under the accounts receivable tab processing, and you'd hit tab or enter, and it assigns me an entry number. This entry number will reset every time you post AR transactions. So right now I'm creating my third unposted transaction of this set. I can go ahead and type in my customer ID right here, which is ABC Glass. The transaction type is where you define what you will be doing with this transaction. In this case, I'll say he's making a payment on account. He's sent me a check for that $65.60 to pay for that invoice. I would use this option. A prepayment basically gives your customer a credit that needs to be applied to an applicable order or invoice once that invoice has been posted. Miscellaneous credit is just that. It's a miscellaneous credit that you can give to your customer. A debit this option was added mainly to comply with general accepted principles of accounting. When you create, let's say for example, you accidentally put in the wrong customer when you're putting in a payment on account and you post it. Well, now customer AAA has been credited $100 for a check that was written by customer ABC. Accidents happen, so we add this in now. That the appropriate way to get rid of that payment is technically to debit that payment out and then go ahead and re-enter the payment for the correct customer using that payment on account option. So debit is basically just a way for you to reverse out a credited transaction error. A finance charge, if you decide that you need to charge a finance charge to a customer, or an other invoice. This invoice right here is an option for you to charge an invoice or create an invoice for a customer that is in no way tied to a sales order or inventory. This might be something like maybe you provide a service for one of your clients. Maybe they rent your truck once a week. Well, you're not going to create a sales order and say they're ordering 3 hours of my truck time and then go ahead and print an invoice that way. You'd actually probably just come in here and say, hey, I need to make an invoice for them. And you can put in a note and say this is for truck rental. So that's kind of what that's used for. In this case, again, I'm going to go ahead and say payment on account. Notice my balance shows right here. They owe me $123,000. This is my main customer that I use for demonstration purposes, so that's why their bill is so high. I can go ahead and hit tab or enter, and it comes down here to my transaction amount. And let's say that check says it's $65.60. And my transaction date. Now, again, this is important because let's say they sent the check out on a Friday, but you came in on a Monday to get it and enter it in the system. Well, you might want to put Friday's date depending on their terms. If you want them to pay, obviously make it before their 30-day due period, or if they get a discount because, hey, the 10th day was Friday, I came in on Monday. Technically, they deserve that discount according to their terms, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in Friday's date. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and hit tab or enter, and it puts in today's date. This customer, I believe, is just on net 30, and this is obviously well within those 30 days, so it doesn't matter which day I technically put in there. I'm going to go ahead and say my check number for my customer is 555. My description is payment on account. Now, this is the default description. You can type in anything you'd like there as well. Basically, just going to go in as a description, as a little note of to categorize this transaction. Notice it pulls in my default bank account automatically, which for me is number 5, which is my Cash Valley Bank down here at the bottom. You can see shows my offsetting accounts right here as well. Based on what I've set up in feature 2000, my accounts receivable will be coming in here, and based on what I have set up under my bank accounts as checked as my default AR bank account, it will show up right here. Now, if I come down here and hit apply payments and credits, it's going to ask me if I want to save. I say yes. And it will bring open a list of their open invoices. Now, their oldest ones are going to be at the top. The newest one down here at the bottom, there's that 6560. Down here at the bottom, we have a couple things. We can go ahead and say auto apply, and what that will do is it'll go through these invoices until it runs out of money for this check. So, for example, this check of $65.60 would totally pay off this $962, and then it would pay off was $54, $56 of this next invoice. And that's what the auto apply is for. However, since I know that this check is specifically for this invoice down here, I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. My asterisk appears right here, and I can go ahead and say close and apply. Now that has been applied to that invoice. Now all I have to do here is hit save one more time and hit the post button when I'm done. Now you may want to start on your next payment and go through your stack of checks. If you're going through your stack of checks and you want to make sure that everything adds up, you can always hit this print button. And what it will do is it will give you options on what you want to print. You can print your list of unposted AR transactions. Your deposit register will just show the payments that you've entered in. and then unposted finance charge right there. Now, if I were entering in that payment on account again, I could check this receipt option, and it basically allows you to print a little receipt for your customers right from this screen. Also, notice down here we do have an enter credit card payment here. We work with a number of different credit card providers or credit card transaction commercial suppliers there for you. And so if you click on that, it does launch a web application for them to enter in an online secured payment for your customer. Once I'm done entering in all my checks and payments and all my AR transactions, I can come up here and hit this post button, or hit Control T if you're into shortcuts. And it asks me if I'm sure. I go ahead and say yes. It's going to pop up now and say posting is complete, and do I want to print my GL report. This again will allow you to see if everything is posted through in a balanced manner. Again, that's an accountant's best friend, but for training purposes, I'm going to go ahead and say no for now. Now if I go back and open up this customer screen one more time, that payment will show in here. Notice here it is right here. And the open amount on the invoice is 0, and the open amount on the payment is 0. There's that check 555. Now if I ever need to review the applications for that payment, I can come down here, click on the line I want to review, hit the applications button, and it will bring up here, hey, it was applied to invoice number 27268, which was for $65.60. I can come up here actually now and say, let's print this out, and it will print out an application history report.